We have some massive updates on WWE and AEW in this video. You're not going to want to miss it. If you haven't clicked subscribe, go ahead and do so. Thank you for 42,000 subscribers. Check out the timestamps in the description down below. We've heard rumors about the Young Bucks possibly trying to want to get out of AEW and go to WWE. And honestly, every single time I have heard somebody speak on this rumor, I kind of scratched my head because I just didn't think that was really plausible. Especially being that they're the EVPs of the company, I just didn't think that would be realistic. However, I should have learned my lesson with Cody Rhodes because apparently the Wrestling Observer's Ryan Frederick is speaking out about some very interesting stuff here. And yes, it is very common in wrestling for this type of behavior to occur, but if this is accurate, this is very interesting. Ryan Frederick from the Wrestling Observer basically came out and stated on the board that the Young Bucks had sent feelers out through a WWE talent. It should be noted that this does not exactly mean that they want to leave AEW, but of course, anytime somebody sends out feelers, usually it's because of, contract negotiations, trying to get more money, trying to see what type of interest there is, to really better understand their position and what type of leverage they may have when doing negotiations. Now, basically, Frederick said this in response to somebody who commented on the board about whether or not the Young Bucks sign new deals. Now, Frederick actually clarified that they didn't sign new deals with AEW, but their options were picked up. So if you guys understand how contracts work, typically in sports, options mean that Tony Khan picked it up and basically they have a little bit more time left. So they did reach out to a talent, send feelers that they would be interested in talking and coming to WWE when their deals are up. But everyone on both sides are going to do the same because you want to look for the best deal. And that's realistic, right? If you're somebody in WWE, you're going to send feelers out to AEW. Sometimes you might even do it publicly. We've seen people like Randy Orton go public and talk about, Elite and stuff like that. That was years ago. But the idea is that you're trying to get more money. This is very common. Later in the thread, Frederick said that they reached out to a talent to send feelers. He can't say that they talked to anybody directly at WWE because that would fall under contract tampering. And this came at the same time the legal letters were sent about tampering. Can't confirm that they actually talked to WWE people themselves, but they talked to other WWE talent about coming in, which they can do, much like WWE talent can send feelers through AEW talent, which has happened and happens on both sides pretty often. It's not something that they wouldn't have done anyway, since their deals are coming up at the end of 2024, and you want to maximize your leverage, just as I was saying. And basically, this is a really interesting situation because Cody's there. You might be wondering, did the Young Bucks and this drama, did all of this happen because maybe they're looking at a way to get out? I don't know. But ever since Cody left, I feel like nothing is impossible anymore. If the Young Bucks were to go to WWE, I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. But ultimately, we'll just have to see how this plays out. Speaking of how things play out, we got to talk about MJF because this is a funny tweet. We the ones. If you don't know what this is in reference to, last night during WWE Smackdown, the Bloodline, of course, with Sami Zayn standing tall. Now with Solo Sikoa, they're all throwing up the We the Ones taunt, and MJF decided to tweet it out. Now, actually, I believe this is a bad idea for AEW, and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with this. Maybe MJF himself would disagree with this, but when you think about it, this whole thing of MJF talking about WWE, acknowledging WWE, if he has not re-signed with AEW, if he is not signing with AEW long-term, I think this whole thing of acknowledging WWE at a time where WWE is shifting a lot of momentum in a positive way is a bad thing. Now, let's just say it is actually factual that MJF has not re-signed with AEW. He has not been extended with AEW. Let's just say that he will actually have a bidding war in 2024, and he does go to WWE. This will always be looked at as a very bad thing for AEW and the fact that Tony Khan kind of let him get away with it. Now, as a fan of wrestling, I think it's incredible that MJF continues to push the boundaries in these promos talking about Triple H, Nick Khan, all of these other things. The fact that he goes on Twitter and openly acknowledges his relationship with the best journalist ever, Rosenberg, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious as a fan. I think this is great. Obviously, a lot of people react to it, but when it comes to AEW, I don't see the benefit of a talent talking about WWE or wanting to jump ship to another company when this company is starting to gain momentum. So I find it hilarious, but I also got myself scratching my head, and it makes me think that realistically Tony Khan can't be that stupid, and perhaps Tony Khan has actually re-signed MJF, but nobody's talking about it. Very, very interesting stuff there, but I want to mention that. You guys remember Max Dupree, a.k.a. LA Knight, finally on WWE Smackdown. It appears that WWE has plans to go back to the LA Knight character during a little bit of an online backstage bit. LA Knight, Max Dupree, whatever you call him at this point, Eli Drake, he cut a little promo talking to Maximum Male Models, and he kind of teased going back to his old gimmick. Now, as you may have noticed when watching WWE these days, Triple H is kind of going back to the things that worked for certain individuals. While Pete Dunne is still called Butch, he's actually wrestling in very similar gear to his Pete Dunne gear. And you're starting to realize that his moveset is actually very similar to what it was before. WWE has plans to break up Nikki Storm, Nikki ASH, right? Nikki Cross, and Doudrop, and there's talks about them going back to old gimmicks. We know that T-Bar has been considered for an older gimmick. WWE is reverting some of these changes that happened under Vince McMahon. LA Knight is one of them that actually needs to happen. I can admit when I was wrong. On this channel, I've said before, hey, give Max Dupree a chance. He's a very good talker. He's very good at what he's doing. However, this group, while it's entertaining and it's fun and it's gimmicky and it's cringy and all of these different things, it doesn't work in 2022 with Triple H's vision for WWE. It doesn't work. I think you want a little bit of entertainment, you want a little bit of wrestling, and these guys could do a little bit of both, but this gimmick is just outdated. It's not really that good. It's not really connecting with the audience, and you're holding people back. So why hold people back? It looks like WWE is going back to the LA Knight gimmick. I think it makes a lot of sense. Plus, what's really cool out of this is you got an NXT 2.0 call-up with Sophia Cromwell. So if you choose to keep her on the main roster as a manager, as a valet for any other talent, you can do so. You can keep her with LA Knight if you choose, or you can send her back to NXT. I actually think she's really good in the managerial role. I think you can utilize it and make sense out of it. And for our final story of the day, guys, we got to talk about Sasha Banks publicly speaking out. Very interesting thoughts here because, well, we all know that Sasha Banks is set to return soon. She was on a radio station recently. She discussed her future in entertainment, something that a lot of people wanted clarification about. She says that there is so much that I'm kind of creating right now. It's all under an umbrella. Like I said, I'm an actor, writer, producer, an extraordinary entertainer. All within those realms, I'm doing something. So you just have to stay tuned. You have a microphone. That's something big I want to do. Not podcasting, but music. That's probably, I don't know if that's the number one thing because of acting, but there are a lot of other things coming up right now. I'm really starting to focus my mind around music in the music realm and being kind of a director in that space of creating a musical video piece. So obviously, for those who are wondering what was happening with Sasha Banks as she left WWE, yes, we expect her to return based on all of the news and reports. But now that she is actually speaking out with some transparency about her goals outside of WWE, it makes you wonder how much longer she's really going to give in to this business. I think it's very interesting, whether it's music, all of these different things. I think she'll be successful. What do you guys think? Drop a comment down below.